So the first thing you want to do is figure out what A, B, and C would be. So A is the number in front of x squared. So what's the number in front of x squared? It's invisible. Show me with your finger. What's the number in front of x squared? 1. Thank you, Willie. So A is 1. B is -4. And C is 1. So for Monday, you can write absent. And now you're in the Tuesday box. I'm sorry? Yeah, you have to write it down this year. Yeah. So just write down the quadratic equation. Write down y equals, you don't have to write down everything word for word, but you want to write down this, and then you want to write down these 3 questions. Okay, so to find the axis of symmetry, the equation or formula for axis of symmetry is opposite of B divided by 2A. Axis of symmetry. And I should probably, I'm going to write that on the slide for the next 2 periods. But it's x equals opposite of B divided by 2A. So let's go ahead and find axis of symmetry first. So let me give you all a minute because I want to make sure, because this is going to be, this is in your test. You have a skills check on Friday, I believe, or it might be Thursday, which is open notes, so you can use your notes. But to find the axis of symmetry is opposite of B divided by 2A. So B is what? What is B? B is -4. So the opposite of -4 is +4. So x equals +4 divided by 2 times 1. So go ahead and figure out what that would be. And that's what you put right here. So if you don't have a calculator, grab a calculator. Go ahead and figure out what that would be. And that should give you +2. Raise your hand if you got +2. Okay, so now we need to find the vertex, we need to know the y value. So we're going to take that +2 and substitute it into the equation. So you have x squared minus 4x plus 1. I want you to take that 2 that we found and substitute it in here. Go ahead and type that in your calculator to see what you get for y. So type in your calculator, type in 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 1. So let's see, what's that? 4 minus 8 plus 1. What would that give you? 4 minus 8 plus 1. Who got -3? All right, so then that would be your vertex. So the last thing is this a minimum or a maximum? Remember that if the graph is a smile, that means it has a minimum. And if it's a frown, it has a maximum. Who remembers from yesterday? How do we know if this is a smile or a frown? Want to take a guess?
Small is the lowest point.
It is the lowest point, but how can we tell looking at this equation right here? How can we tell if this is going to be a smile or a frown? If you're not sure, take out your notes. Everybody take out your notes. And go to page 2. Look at the bottom of page 2 in your notes. So flip back one page. Yep, keep going. So how do you know? If A is positive. So if A is positive, it's a smile. And if A is negative, it's a frown. I like to say that A stands for attitude. If it has a positive attitude, it's smiling. If it has a negative attitude, it's frowning. So A is positive. Does everyone see how this is a positive one? So that means that this graph is a smile. And because it's a smile, it has a minimum. It doesn't have a maximum, it has a minimum. All right, so now let's go to our notes and do, I think we're on the bottom of page 3. And we're gonna graph another one together. If you have a binder and I didn't mark it down, you can show it to me at the end of class and I'll put that in. So this one, A is -1, B is -8, and C is -15. So for this one, does everyone see that A is negative? So in this example, our A value is negative, which means that this graph is going to be a frown. Is somebody at the door? Oh, you can open. I'm sorry. Hi. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Here you go. Okay, so this is a frown. So because it's a frown, does it have a minimum or a maximum? So going back to this slide here, remember we said that if it's frowning, it has a maximum. So this one is going to be a frown, which means it has a max. So let's go ahead and circle the word max. And we know that because A is negative. So now we're ready to find our vertex. So let's find the axis of symmetry. So X equals, so you always flip the sign. So this, you see how this says -8? We're gonna flip that to the opposite, which would be a +8. And we're gonna divide that by 2 times A. So go ahead, pick up your calculators. Type that in. Take 8 divided by 2 times -1, or 8 divided by -2. So 8 divided by -2 should give you -4. So go ahead and write X equals -4 right here. Now let's go ahead and find our Y value. So you have to type it in just like this. So Y equals, put a negative first, parentheses squared, -8, parentheses, -15. And then type in -4. So you have to type it in just like this. So you have to put a negative in front of the parentheses. Everybody pick up your calculator. Put a negative in front of the parentheses, then create a parentheses, put -4 inside, square it, minus 8 times negative 4, minus 15. Georgia, do you have a calculator? Okay. So let's go ahead and type that in. Let's see what we have. And I'll type it in with you. And then you should get 1. Who got 1? All right, so let's put that number in the middle of our table. So remember, we put the negative 4 in the middle. And then looking at everybody look here. So you see how negative 4 is right here on the number line? Everybody look at me. So negative 4 is here. So you're going to put a negative 5, negative 6. So I'm going to put negative 5, negative 6. And then you're going to go the other direction. Put a negative 3 and a negative 2. So you're putting 2 numbers to the left and 2 numbers to the right of your axis of symmetry. All right, so I'm going to create our little skeleton. And then you're going to just fill in each number. So you're going to put in the negative 2 first. And then put in negative 3. Put in negative 5. And put in negative 6. So I'll give you a minute to get those numbers. Okay. So for the first one, who got -3? -3 for the first one? Okay. And you should get the same thing for -6. And then, wait, did I say, wait, sorry. For -2, we got -3. And then what do we get for -3? 0. All right, who agrees with my table? Who had those 5 numbers? All right, let's go ahead and graph it. So we're going to put a point at -2, -3. So that would be my first point. And this one should look like a frown.
I can't help you with that.
I don't know what Siri talking about. Ain't nobody talking to you, Siri. Okay. All right, so we have -2, -3. That's our first point. And then at -3, we're at 0. And then at -4, we're here. And then we come back down. So this is what it should look like. See how it's a frown. So your domain is all real numbers, and this will never change. This is always what it's going to be. And your range, because it's a frown, it's going to be y is, and then it's less than or equal to. Remember, we're going to use this number. So y is less than or equal to 1. All right, any questions about how we did that graph? All right, let's go to page 4. And this one should go a lot faster because it is already graphed for us. So remember, the vertex is the highest or lowest point. So this one is a smile. So because this is a smile, do you think we have, is this point the lowest point or the highest point on the graph? It's the lowest. So this is a minimum. So let's go ahead, put a point right here, and then name that point as an order pair. So 0, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0, -4 is my vertex. And the first number in the vertex is your axis of symmetry. So that would be x equals 0. All right, I want you to take a couple minutes and try to do this graph by yourself. Tell me where the vertex is. Tell me if it's a minimum or a maximum and the axis of symmetry. Okay, so this is my vertex right here. And is that the highest point or the lowest point on the graph? Highest, so we're going to call that a maximum. So this point on the graph, this is at +1, +4. That's my vertex. And the axis of symmetry, that's where if I were to draw a vertical line, If I draw a vertical line at x equals 1, it would divide it in half. So that would be my axis of symmetry. All right, so now let's take out homework 1. You should be able to do all of homework 1. So go ahead, take out homework 1. And I just want to talk about, let's go to the back side of homework 1. And let's look at question 4 together. All right, so let's look at this first one. Is this vertex, is that a minimum or a maximum for this first graph? Minimum. So let's go ahead and write that in. This is a minimum. Go ahead and write the ordered pair for that point. So that would be your vertex. So go ahead and write that point. So if you look at this, it looks like we're going 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and then we have to go down 4. So our vertex would be at 4, -4. Now, this graph does not show you your y-intercept, so you can actually cross this off for both of these. But what I want you to know, because this was not in our notes, is that these two are the same thing. This is the same question. The solution is the same thing as the x-intercept. So this graph crosses the x-axis here and here. Those are my solutions. What does x equal where I put those two blue dots? X is equal to what? What two numbers do we have there? 2 and 6. So my solution is 2 and 6. And then my x-intercept, you will write that as an ordered pair. All right, go ahead and try to do this next one by yourself. So take a couple minutes. I'm going to put a blue dot, well, I'm going to put a red dot where the vertex is. And then a blue dot where we have our solutions and x-intercepts. So go ahead, take a minute and fill in those questions. And then that is it for today.